Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Enemy here, bringing you my review for Eden Zero, Chapter 414. So the episode starts off heavy by telling us that whatever is wrong with Clean is really tied to her outbursts. And obviously the thing that sticks out from that is what we learned from Chris, that this disorder she has can be traced back and tied to something that happened in the past. And while I'm no doctor, to me, all these pieces that are just coming together in this analysis between Clean and basically Sister Ivory and just the way they all connect lead me to believe that whatever Clean is, that whatever Clean has is in some way linked to a case of severe amnesia. Like that's the first thing that pops in my head, is that whatever her disorder is, it's tied to some kind of amnesia or something. The only question now is what she's forgotten, because with this setup of a fleet of attack drones targeting the Eden Zero and Clean volunteering to fight back, it feels kind of inevitable that this will knock some brain screws back into place. And it's one of those things where, well, I kind of understand and get where Chris is coming from on a very sympathetic level. Like, you can see he genuinely cares for his sister. At the same time, he's really just pretending that those memories that are locked away are never going to return, because the fact is he's wrong. Those memories are going to return, and Chris right now is kind of deluding himself into thinking he can control something like that. However, the fact that he is so desperate to ensure that Clean never regains those memories at all does kind of make you wonder even more of how horrific the events that pretty much Clean had experienced are. Because pretty much you basically see in this chapter that pretty much Chris, he basically goes pretty much ham on Sister Ivory, and it's one of those things where he's basically determined to kill anyone he's basically determined to kill anyone who seeks to uncover the mystery of that. But so basically, so just to think that Chris is going to these lengths in order to cover up like the mystery of her disorder and her memories and whatnot, to me, it makes me imagine just how horrific the events of Clean's past are, because I imagine we're looking at something akin to what's basically the emotional horror show of Hermit's backstory. Like, maybe not the exact details, but something in that same vein and tone. That's kind of what I'm imagining here as to what Clean's like basically lost memories are going to reveal. Like that's really the only thing I can think of right now as to what as to what it is that, and honestly, if it's like that bad, if her memories are that like severely traumatizing, then it would make sense as to why Chris would basically be this basically overprotective. Like it would make sense if her backstory was, if her memories past were that tragic. Honestly, and yeah, that also goes to show that Mashima loves torturing that I think Mashima has a much more of a sadistic side than we've ever given him credit for, honestly. Now, one of the even bigger things with this chapter, though, is that our heroes more or less end up with a confrontation with basically Mora of Team Beast, who again are the frontline commanders of Poseidon Nero. And just in that confrontation with Mora, there's a lot to digest from this simple confrontation. The first being, with Team Beast having been given the order to destroy all the machines on the planet, it pretty much shows that if Ziggy wanted to get a rise out of Nero, then I'd say he succeeded a little too well. But even beyond that, I can't help but feel that both the Eden Zero crew and Team Beast have almost kind of fallen into basically a sort of trap that's been laid by Ziggy right now. Because if you think about it, if you think about everything that we know so far, like depending on how things play out from here, and the actions that are taken, I'm almost positive that from Ziggy can very easily twist what's going on here on basically Foresta into a very heavy propaganda angle in order to rally more machines to his cause. Because you have to imagine that from since this pretty much since this could be seen, like you have to look at it from the perspective of everything that's going on right now, even if on Shiki's side it's for the intent of even if on Shiki's side it's for the intent that everything he's doing is for the intent of trying to save them. You have to imagine of how Ziggy can twist this, because he could a lot of what's being a lot of what's being we're seeing could very easily be twisted as could very easily be twisted as a mass slaughter of machine kind. In fact, the more I say it out loud, the more I'm certain that this is exactly what Ziggy wanted it, how Ziggy wanted it by infecting the robots on the planet. Like he basically wanted the machines to basically act like they were defending themselves, and so yeah, it's like as of right now, I think both sides of this, both Team Beast and the Eden Zero crew, have fallen into Ziggy's trap wholesale. They're they're basically feeding into Ziggy's plan right now. And I mean, and the only other thing I can think of that as to why Ziggy infected them with that virus was to become soldiers. Although, unless you look at it from the suicide bomber angle, the machines he infected don't really have much fighting capabilities. So yeah, as of right now, I'm going a lot more with the propaganda angle that from Ziggy he basically plans to use this as a he plans to use like Foresta and what's going on right now as sort of a means to in order to incite a lot more like machines to rise up and to join his cause. Like that's kind of the thing that I'm really kind of thinking is what Ziggy's doing here right now. Um, and honestly, that's only scraping the surface, believe it or not, of this situation. Because looking at it from another angle, by turning the machines loose on both the Eden Zero crew and Team Beast, he's essentially putting Shiki in a situation where, by basically Shiki's group like fighting both Mora and the machines on one side, and the others fighting those drones on the other, he's kind of actively declaring war on. Like Shiki right now is actively kind of declaring war on Poseidon Nero, putting both groups into a situation to eliminate each other, which is great for Ziggy because in either case, if whoever comes out of this the victor, he gets rid of those who are. He still gets rid of someone who's considered like pretty much powerful opposition to his plans. And honestly, I just overall have to say this chapter is really good perspective on Ziggy's like his on Ziggy's like abilities as a strategist, and just how he's orchestrated this whole situation to where it doesn't matter who wins or loses, he still wins in the end. Like I gotta give Ziggy props for that. That's basically some pretty intense like strategy work right there. And but yeah, it's I'll honestly I'll definitely be curious if what I say is true and all this is basically a trap that's been laid by Ziggy in order to kind of create a sort of in order to tie it up as a propaganda angle. Then I'll be curious to see as to how like Shiki and his crew are going to how Shiki and the others are going to try and subvert that almost, but we'll see. Um, Now, with this chapter, obviously we can we get a better sense for Mora's fighting abilities, and honestly, it's a pretty simple setup with his cane being the source of his power. And out loud, it sounds like a simple setup with a simple solution to getting in close to defeat him. But at the same time, it's one of those things where even if they get in close, I still don't think they'll be able to defeat him because, as we see, his cane can do more than just like shoot glue. It's got this cane has a multi-purpose effect, so we don't even know what more that cane can do, and it's kind of scary. And it's kind of scary to think of what else that cane can do that our heroes are gonna have to overcome. Uh, I like how this chapter also gives us a little more characterization of Mora himself, and I'll admit it does come from a place of bias, but I do have a fascination for these types of characters who have this very playful, psychotic nature to them. Like, when it comes to Mora, for instance, he's got a lot of like Joker in him that I really like. He's kind of like a mix between. He's got the design of the Mad Hatter from the Batman animated series, but his personality feels like basically like a little more that of Joker or something like that, which I love. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Oyster Crunchyroll. That Night of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.